One of the best parts about D&D is making characters, and I found a way to make a series out of it so I can continue to fuel my obsession. What I've done is I found a way of including thousands of community members in order to make characters that are fleshed out, easy to use, and perfect for putting right in your campaign so that you can use them as a player character, an NPC, or what have you. Here's how it works. I go to my Patreon and I pull my lovely patrons for 6 random adjectives. Once I have those adjectives, I send them over to an artist. I allow the artist to make a completely original character from those words without giving me any input. The reason for this is so they can send me character art that is perfectly unique and had nothing to do with me. Once I have that, I take that, I bask in its glory, I take it over to a stream, we put it all together, and we make it characters from level 1 through 20, polling the stream and letting everybody have input on the backstory, the build, and what have you. Once we have all of that together, we create this character, and I make a video detailing it, describing what you can do with it, and allowing you to use it in your game so that the entire community can use it. This is D&D character creation. Now, today's character is one that I'm very excited for, and I know I say that every single time, but the fact is it's true. But this particular one is a class we haven't really ranged into before, as we made ourselves a wizard. Specifically, a level 20 Order of the Scribes wizard. That's right, for one of the first times, we really didn't do any multi-classing because we just felt it fit the character so well. And that's really because of the art. See, the art was really fantastic and amazing, and I really loved it. And you can take a look at it right here. Now, the artist who did this was incredibly kind and so helpful, so please go give them the support you can. The links for all their socials are in the description as well as right there. Just please go ahead and take a look, go give them what information and help you can, and well, just continue to support them. Every artist that we bring onto this show, I really want to receive their support and love from this community. So anything you can give them is very, very appreciated. Now, that being said, there's a lot more to this character than just being a wizard. When we first polled the patrons, we got these as the descriptors. We went through all of these and made sure that we were going to add them in the character, as in the past, I have forgotten to add some of the adjectives just because I got a little bit too excited. The noble portion was one that we really focused on, but even more specifically, we focused on self-aware. And the reason that we focused on self-aware was because we felt that that was a very fun character archetype. So we got together, we rolled our stats.
We are absolutely re-rolling. These are the most boring stats I've ever seen in my life.
I didn't like the stats. I thought they were boring. We rolled them again.
All right, we need bad stats now. Okay, 10. All right. I really want this last one to be a negative stat. We're gonna do this again. Oh, come on. That's bullshit. No. Oh my god, how is that possible? We're gonna take those stats because I said we were, but I'm a little upset. I really wanted a negative, and now this man is unstoppable.
I realized that I had made a mistake because I had angered the dice gods and they had chosen to prove me wrong, but nonetheless, we then brought this character together and we decided we wanted to make a himbo wizard. Mostly because of that self-aware aspect. We thought it was a very funny archetype to take the self-aware aspect and really just add that into the character themselves as this himbo person who really tried to be as understanding as possible, but kind of missed the mark and generally ended up going down the wrong path, but was well-meaning nonetheless. As we continued to explore the character, however, we realized that they looked a lot like an author, and that's why we settled on Order of the Scribes. See, Order of the Scribes focuses a lot on using pen, quill, paper, ink, writing spells, transcribing them, being hyper intelligent, but not necessarily the most wise, which is where the himbo part comes in. So we settled on that and decided to really run with that. So here were the stats that we had, here's the character class that we had, and now we had to decide the backstory and who this person was. We already knew they were an author, but we wanted to lean into it just a little bit more. See, early on for this, the chat decided that they really wanted to have an author character who had the ability to write things into existence. Their spell casting would be less casting spells and more writing things down and bringing things out. And so we really began to focus on that. As we went through our spells and chose the spells that we thought most fit the character, we really decided on a lot of summoning spells, because the idea of this author creating creatures on the spot and summoning them out of ink was just so fantastic and wonderful, and we really enjoyed the vibe. And so we continued to roll with that as much as we could. We made sure to max out their intelligence, keep their summoning abilities as powerful as possible, and then also have their summoned spellbook, the awakened spellbook, that is one of their abilities, as another one of those summons, their ability to create through writing. And we continued to focus on that and really create as much of a character out of that concept as possible. And we really had a good time doing it. after the stream, we actually had a homebrew stream with just the patrons where we decided we wanted to make an item to go along with this character. And what we ended up creating was this. This is basically a wild magic spellcasting focus. It was supposed to be a strange quill plucked off of a very fantastical fey creature that I may homebrew again at some point, as I think it's a very fun idea. But the quill itself has the ability to manipulate spells, but not through any sort of skill, but because of random chance, much like wild magic. This allowed it to do things as when you casted spells, you rolled on a table and random things would happen. If it was a damaging spell, it might change the damage type, or if it was a self-focused spell, it might buff you more. Or if you rolled really badly, it could cause the spell to backfire or just fizzle out entirely, making it totally random chance of whether it was helpful or harmful. Now it did have charges so that it didn't just keep going off every time you casted spells, but I thought it was a very fun item that could be very entertaining, and I thought worked perfectly along with this character who was very well-meaning, but kept seeming to accidentally cause problems. Yes, they were self-aware of the fact that they were causing problems, but it didn't mean that they could prevent themselves from doing it. They just kept trying to improve and grow. And that's when we decided to figure out what kind of character this could be in a story. I think this character is a fantastic example of how to create a helpful NPC, or if you want to play them as a player character, a perfect example of how to play somebody who causes chaos accidentally, therefore leading to more hijinks. See, this character we ended up naming Solstice Jaffe. Jaffe after, of course, the Taliesin Jaffe, because it just seemed like a nice homage and the chat seemed to really want to lean into that. And who was I to tell them no? I love Taliesin. So with this homage created for this character, we began to lean into what sort of things they actually wanted to do, who they were as a person. We already knew that they were a himbo, but how could you use them in a campaign? See, them being a noble and self-aware is really what we ended up leaning into to try and make the most interesting character possible. As part of the backstory, I decided that they were from the House Jaffe, a very noble house which anybody could put into their campaign. But as they began to grow up and learn their abilities, they began to realize that much of what they had, because they were so self-aware, was from their own wealth. It wasn't from their own merit or ability. And as Solstice grew up and continued to learn and grow and study, and they began to read books of all these great adventurers and these powerful warriors, they realized that they themselves had no merit like these warriors and these heroes did. They wanted to be incredible and powerful, but they just didn't know how to. And so rather than wallow in self-pity or consider themselves unworthy of this, and rather than use their fortune to try and buy themselves things to be able to be a powerful warrior, they decided they would do so on their own merit. And so with nothing more than a quill and a book so that they could go out into the world and start writing the very stories which had inspired him, he went out. And he would go travel the world, following adventures, detailing their stories, and finding his own power through his own wits and determination. Consider him something more of like a good-hearted Gilderoy Lockhart. He tries very, very hard to be the hero that he writes himself to be, and because of that determination and intellect, he actually begins to create the very triumphs that he writes down, creating creatures into the air. It's not sorcery. He has done so through his own intelligent wit and determination, but nonetheless, it has continued to inspire him to move forward. And I think he could be a very fun, helpful NPC, a misguided villain, or a very fun player character. If you want this character sheet, it's actually going to be available to the patrons, as well as a short story detailing the character and the art for them. If you want that, please go ahead and go sign up. You can do so down in the description below, but you do not have to. I never pressure anybody to. It is a huge blessing, but that's exactly what it is. A blessing and not mandatory. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed creating these videos, and we did change the format up on this one a little bit, talking more about the character than focusing on the story, and we're going to continue doing that moving forward. So if you guys would like to continue to be involved in this process and make the next character, please keep an eye out, hit the subscribe button so that you can watch the next stream. Keep being amazing, everybody. Go out into the world, make it your own, and have a great day.
This video wouldn't be possible without the incredible, beautiful bastards over on our Patreon. I'd like to give an additional, very personal thank you to the Divine Bastards Big D the Cool Guy, BKBW, Clark Smith, Diet Blue, Duplicolor, Manifestering, Rocky, Sassy Cat Productions, Sorit, Supreme Court, Talia Martin, Tin Eye, Void Mystic, Volpe Nico, and Zombies Were People Too. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you guys, and you mean the absolute world to us. Keep being beautiful, keep being amazing, and as always, make the world your own.